Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Tootie Talk Sense. When I tell y'all it been so much news going on, I can't keep up. This is a full-time job and props to all you content creator who is out there on every story posting every day, baby. I don't know how you do it, but bless you, okay, for doing it. Now, I know y'all know what is all trending, that the Trump administration, the Department of Justice, have arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Forte. I want to say is how you pronounce her last name, and there and about four other Black journalists for covering the ICE agent protest that happened in Minneapolis. So, if y'all remember, there was a protest in Minneapolis where the protesters went inside of a church because it was found out that the pastor of the church is a works at the ICE enforcement, and I forget what position he's in a high up position in the ICE department. So that was found out. So they staged a protest during church, and Don Lemon went in the church and he covered it, and he talked to he talked to one of the pastors there, he talked to some of the churchgoers, he talked to the protesters, and because of that, now they arrested him, and I want to say that it was four more journalists, and previously it was also some Black Lives Matter activists that they arrested, but everybody was Black. They just went and they arrested Blacks that was involved. Like you, to me, now this is just my thinking. To me, they are now. ICE had unalive people before Renee Good and Nick Petty. They had unalive people before that. I covered my last video. I talked about Keith Porter, who was on alive in California on New Year's Eve by an off-duty ICE agent. I also talked about when they was here in Broadview, Illinois, they unalived the man who was in I think he was either in North Lake or no, I believe he was in Stone Park, but they unalived the man there. I believe the total right now is like at least 9 that was unalive. It was more that was they discharged a firearm against, but I believe the total is 9 that they unalive. But I have to check that. But yeah, wait a minute. But I have to check the total. And before this protest started, I remember, I don't know if y'all remember the trend of sit your Black ass down, like your ancestors telling us to sit this one out. And it was a push for non-Blacks to be a part of this protest because it was felt that the Trump administration wants Blacks to be a part of it, because if they had, it'd be a lot more people unalive than that, in my personal opinion. Because when he wasn't in office doing Black Lives Matter, he was acting like, can't you just shoot him in the leg? So imagine he's in power now. He done already gave immunity, and there's a bunch of Black people protesting because January 6th was just like a holiday, a jet, what they said, a blue jet holiday, jet blue holiday. I guess that's what January 6th was at. That wasn't an insurrection. That wasn't a riot. That wasn't them trying to overturn the election. That was just like some people chilling this afternoon. What's that song? What's that rock song? This afternoon. But, and so I believe that taking these journalists, particularly Black journalists, and arresting them is trying to, it's like sending out the call, the threat to put it aware, like y'all get involved in this. This is gonna happen to y'all. Not just for Blacks, but for journalists in general. Because everybody was warning that this is what's gonna happen when the Jimmy Kimmel, when he took, well, not Trump particularly, but the FCC had threatened the Kimmel network that either, we could do this the hard way, the easy way, or the hard way. So pull him off that air because he said something that we didn't like. Or we're going to make it difficult for you to close this millions and millions of dollars, this deal that y'all trying to have. And so everybody got together to fight that. Because I said in that video, you control the media, you control the masses from the beginning, and it's quite sure it's outlined in Project 2025. There has been a push to control media. The whole TikTok, and once America took over TikTok, who was just a bunch of billionaires, Oracle. I did a video on that. Oracle, who is now the people they like, well, we don't trust that the TikTok is not in America and it's the Chinese spying on America, and we're gonna ban TikTok from America unless they get, the Americans involved in TikTok. No, that was just billionaires wanting to take over a company who refused to sell to them. And now they get the government involved in order to force these people to sell to them. And now people are, I don't know if it's true, but there's a bunch of videos out there saying that if you say something anti-ICE, anti-Trump at TikTok, they either ban the video, they don't let you send it through text messages. And I'm like, the fuck y'all thought was gonna happen? They was gonna send y'all flowers, like everything that people have been saying, particularly black people, and particularly because this is just history repeating itself. It's happening, and everybody is shocked and bewildered that what's happening is what we said was going to happen. I would never assume in America it's been happening in our community. This enforcement of law, this. I don't care about the Constitution. This your rights. There's no due process. This has been happening for generations in our neighborhood. We have been talking about it in our neighborhood. And everybody's like, no, but what did you do? But what did that person do? So I haven't even covered the Nick Petty story and how there's a difference between what Nick Petty did and these same people were supporting Cal Rittenhouse. I haven't even covered that story. But let me get into what we're talking about today, y'all. So come on, y'all, let's discuss. We're finna talk about Don Lemon was arrested along with other journalists, black journalists, was arrested for covering the protest at the church. Now, the journalists were saying that they was just journalists. They was there, they knew it was gonna be, well, they seen the protest. They went in, they covered the protest. They was not protesting in the church, but they was covering the protest the same way. Y'all, my camera didn't get off, and I didn't even know. And I'm just talking, and ain't no video on here. Let's see. Okay, y'all may just have to get it like this. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 minute. Let me try to check my connections. Make sure everything's fine in my connections. It is. So I don't know why that happened, but we are going to continue on. And if it comes back, and y'all can see my face. But if not, y'all, this is what we got. So, the journalists were saying that they were there just covering the story the same way there were journalists there on January 6th that was covering that insurrection, that riot, that did not get charged because they were journalists and they was there covering the story. Same way at just about every protest, there are journalists there covering the story. So that's what they are saying. But the Department of Justice, the DOJ, arrested them. And we're going to go over and I'm going to show you. Now, Don was arrested in Georgia, was arrested, and Georgia recorded when the officers came to her house to arrest her. I'm going to see if I can find that video, but I'm going to show you that Don has been released. And I'm going to show you some news coverage of that and what he said. I'm going to also read the article. If they don't go over the details, I will also read the article about what he was arrested for and the people who was arrested with him. Also, the indictment, I want to say it's like 14 pages. That's online if anybody is interested in reading that. Let's see. Okay, y'all still can't see me, but you can see what I am sharing. So let's watch this. Let me get the volume going.
Right now to Ms. Damaris for some.
Let's see.
Let's hear from Don Lemon outside the courthouse in Los Angeles.
Wow. Can everybody hear me? Are you guys set? Everybody ready? So look, I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
Okay, first of all, we want to apologize for that gentleman behind Don Lemon wearing a T-shirt with a vulgarity on that. We could not control the framing of the shot. We do, however, want to take you right now to Mr. Mayor.
I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
Okay, first of all, we want to
at work for me and for countless of other of the night.
Look at me.
For DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me. I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. For a free and independent, no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media really means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because everybody ready? So look, I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I've spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than
yeah, you have to say F Trump. But I am still trying to get my video back up here. The video of me back up here. I don't know why it's not coming up there, but I'm also read this. Give me 1 minute, because why is that not coming up? It's not even registered. No, okay, but let me read the article that's attached to this. It says that this is Don Lemon released after arrest by federal authorities following protests at Minnesota church service. Attorney General Pam Bundy said in a post Friday on X that Lemon was arrested, as were 3 others in connections with the coordinated attack on city churches in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I don't know what was the attack? Okay, they could just make up anything. We could see the video. You gonna believe me on your lying eyes? That should be the motto. You gonna believe me or your lying eyes? That should be the motto of this whole goddamn thing. I'm still trying to see. Nope, it's still not doing it. So I just disable the camera. I'm gonna make this full because y'all can't see me knowing. So at least y'all can read the article. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon was released by a federal judge on Friday after he was charged by the Trump administration with violating the freedom of religion of worshipers at a Minnesota church where he was covering a protest earlier this month. Lemon, now an independent journalist, was released on a personal recognizance bond and appeared outside a downtown federal courthouse several minutes later, saying the prosecution will not stop him from his work reporting news. I will not stop ever. He added, the First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless other journalists. I will not be silenced. Lemon's LA area attorney, Marilyn Betnusky, said in court that he plans to plead not guilty. A federal judge seated in Minnesota returned the indictment on Thursday against Lemon and 8 co-defendants. The indictment charges Lemon with conspiracy against the rights of religious freedom at a place of worship and injuring, intimidating, and interfering with the exercise of right of religious freedom at a place of worship. Lemon 59 and 3 of the co-defendants, Trahern, Jeen, Cruz, Georgia Forte, and Jamael, Lundy, and I'm messing up these people's names, so forgive me, was arrested Friday in Attorney General Pam Bundy described in a post coordinated attacks on city churches in St. Paul, Minnesota. 3 others had been previously arrested on federal charges and then released by a judge after the Trump administration tried to keep them detained. So what had happened, even in this case, they had arrested some people, and the judge was like, "Fuck no," and let it go. They tried to arrest Dunn, and I'm gonna cover this: the Dunn versus Nicki Minaj, because she said he should be locked up for going into the church. They tried to get a warrant then to arrest him, and the judge denied it. Then they went to the appeal court because the judge said, "You don't even have probable cause. Like, how are you gonna bring this to me without even probable cause?" And so then they went to appeal court, and that judge said no. But how they got this one is they went to a grand jury indictment. That's what this one, and that's how they arrested him. But I'm gonna continue reading for y'all. 3 others was previously arrested on federal charges and then released by a judge after the Trump administration tried to keep them detained. A federal magistrate judge found the Trump administration lacked probable cause to arrest Lemon and several of other defendants under a federal statute that a top Justice Department official conceded have never been used in the context of a protest at a church before. 2 of the people whose names appeared on an indictment do not appear to have been taken into federal custody. The arrest of one of the country's most recognizable journalists is the latest development in the federal government unprecedented immigration crackdown in Minneapolis, in which 2 U.S. citizens has been shot and killed. Demonstrators have gathered at the Minneapolis church on January 18th because they said its pastor worked for immigration and custom enforcement. The indictment alleges Lemon attended a briefing by protesters ahead of the event and that he openly characterized the upcoming protest as one involving civil disobedience. Prosecutors said he kept the church location a secret until his live coverage. Lemon was arrested by the FBI and Homeland Security investigations in Beverly Hills at approximately midnight, according to a federal warrant issued in another district. His main defense attorney, Abel Lowell, said in an earlier statement that federal agents took him into custody in Los Angeles, where he was covering the lead up to a Sunday's Grammy Award. Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration would not stand. Dunn will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. Now, also, the Don Lemon arrest and arrest of these other journalists took so much stance on the media, took so much space, I would say, in the media, and there was so much time covering it that I don't even know how many media outlets covered that thousands of Epstein's files have been released. And there's this one that I'm gonna go over, and it was tips that they received. Now, they didn't, and I don't know if they investigated these tips. Doesn't seem like it, but it's just a document about tips they received. And the tips are awful. and they are alleged against Donald Trump. So is this a distraction for people going through these files or people reporting on these files because so many people are busy, reporting on Don Lemon getting arrested because it is a violation of the First Amendment. I covered this before, and if y'all didn't seen it, sorry for repeating myself. But when they wanted to say, oh, back when the council culture was a violation of the First Amendment, it is not. Council culture, what they call it, council culture, it wasn't a violation of the First Amendment. What it was you said people saying things that others didn't disagree with, whether it was racist, whether it was misogynist, whether it was just awful shit. People had the choice to, I am not going to watch your content. Or the owners had the choice that you don't represent my company. Your views don't represent my company, and I don't want the public to think it does, so you can no longer work at my company. That's what was happening. That people say, oh, that's a violation of the First Amendment. Now what is happening is actual violations of the First Amendment, because the First Amendment is government interference with your freedom of speech, which is what was happening with Jimmy Kimmel, and now what is happening with these journalists that are being arrested, and the protesters, the activists who's being arrested, not for being violent because you don't agree with it. So let's continue. Promises made, promises kept. The Justice Department promised to pursue charges against Lemon after he covered the protests at the city's church in St. Paul earlier this month. In a video posted on his YouTube, Lemon stood outside the church with protesters, and he said he was at an operation that is secret. Lemon later said from inside the church, "We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on it." And that's what, if you watch the video, Don Lemon video of him reporting in this church, he says in the church. So it's like you're trying to arrest him for something that he said in the video, that you're saying that he was violating, that he committed the crime. But in the video where you're saying he committed the crime, he say in the video that, like, I'm not here with the protesters, I'm here reporting. But protesters say that the church pastor, David Easterwood, is the acting director of an ICE field office in the city. 3 of the protesters who disrupted the church service, Nikema Levy Armstrong, Chantel Louisa Allen, and William Kelly, had previously been arrested. The Trump administration attempted to keep them and 3 other protesters, a total of 6 of Lemon's co-defendants, detained into trial, according to court records. Federal magistrate judge in Minnesota rejected their request for a detention hearing. A federal magistrate judge had previously rejected a criminal complaint against Lemon. A source familiar with the matter described Bundy as enraged by that decision. So what they're pretty much saying is the judge had told them no when they tried to arrest Lemon before, and Bundy ass got mad, and so they found another way to arrest them. The protest came amid an immigration crackdown in which the federal government has sent 3,000 federal immigration agents to the Twin City over the last 2 months and arrested more than 3,000 undocumented immigrants, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Security. Amid the crackdown, Renee Good, 37, and Alex Pretty, 37, were both shot and killed by federal immigration authorities in separate confrontation, inciting large swarms of the nation. Prior to his arrest, Lemon said he stood by his reporting. If this much time and energy is going to be spent manufacturing outrage, it would be far better used investigating the tragic death of Renee Good, the very issue that brought people into the streets in the first place, he said in a statement last week. And they are saying that because after the shooting of Renee Good and Alex Pretty, well, I know Renee Good for sure, that the local authorities there in Minneapolis wasn't allowed to investigate the shootings. Like, they didn't allow them access to the evidence, access to the crime scene, or anything. So that's what he was like, why you spending all this time trying to say trying to use this law that haven't been used this way against me, spending all your efforts going to different judges and going to different courts who keep telling your ass no, and you're spending all this time trying to do this for me for covering in a protest. Why don't you investigate the reason why these people are protesting in the first place? That's what Dunn had said. Dunn next court appearance is February 9th in Minneapolis. Forte, one of Dunn's co-defendants and an independent journalist based in Minneapolis, told NBC News that she was arrested Friday morning as her 3 daughters watched. Nearly 24 federal agents surrounded my home at 6 a.m. shortly after my husband left for work, she said by email. As the mother of 3 daughters aged 7 to 17, it was heartbreaking to have my children begin their day this way. Forte live streamed the moments before her arrest on Facebook, entitled the resulting video, "Agents Are at My Door." My 17-year-old daughter witnessed everything and is old enough to understand the context. I am a journalist who was arrested for doing my job, despite the constitutional protection afforded to the press, Forte said. The FACE Act statute. Now, this is what they arrested them under. So the federal government incited the freedom of access to clinic interests. That's the FACE Act, to justify the arrest of the 3 protesters. The federal statute prohibits the use of force or intimidation to anyone trying to access reproductive services, but also contains provisions that covers house of worship. Because the FACE Act came about for people, for pretty much the abortion law. When people was going to get abortions, people would go and stand outside the clinics or whatever and not allow them inside the clinics. This is what this FACE Act was created for, that you can't block people access to the facility. That's what this is. So they're using this to charge because it's a I keep saying because there's a I'm using the wrong word, getting tongue tied. There's a statute in there that includes place of worships. So that's how they use this. The Trump administration top DOJ Civil Rights Division official conceded earlier this month that the use of the statute in this manner lacked historical precedence. In all these years, up until I was the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, nobody ever used that house of worship part to prosecute protesters or criminals blocking access to a house of worship. So we started to do that. Trump had pardoned a number of anti-abortion protesters prosecuted under the FACE Act. Y'all got to be shitting me. So they're saying previously, Trump actually pardoned this FACE Act that they are charging people with, that was for abortion clinics. Trump pardoned people who was charged with this same act, who was at an abortion clinic, who was found guilty of this, and he pardoned them. But now he's going to use this act in a way that it never been used before, to charge somebody who pretty much don't agree with him. Okay. Trump had pardoned a number of anti-abortion protesters prosecuted under the FACE Act, and the Justice Department dismissed other cases that were pending. So they pretty much don't even agree with this act. Not only did he pardon people who was convicted under this act, the Justice Department had other people in jail for this act, and they just dismissed it all. But you know what? Let me pick that up for these journalists over here. A Justice Department memo issued days after Trump's inauguration last year also created new bureaucratic hurdles on abortion cases that don't apply to church cases. It mandates that future abortion-related FACE Act prosecution and civil rights will be permitted only in extraordinary circumstances, or in cases presenting significantly aggravating factors such as death, seriously bodily harm, or serious property damage. Cases not presenting significant aggravating factors can adequately be addressed under state or local law. Yep. So they pretty much saying after Trump took office, because they are anti-abortion, that the memo was sent out that like anybody who facing these charges, pretty much let them go. We're not going to be prosecuting this shit anymore unless there's a death, seriously bodily harm, or property damage. Then we ain't gonna let the locals deal with this. We're not gonna prosecute anybody. But they like, but exceptions, Black journalists. The Committee to Protect Journalists, a nonprofit that promotes press freedom worldwide, condemned Lemon's arrest. The arrest of journalist Don Lemon in connection with his reporting on a protest in Minnesota should alarm all Americans who works, said Catherine Jacobson, who works on the organization's U.S. effort, said in a statement. Instead of prioritizing accountability in the killing of 2 American citizens, the Trump administration is devoting its resources to arresting journalists. CNN said in a post on X that Lemon arrest raises profoundly concerning questions about press freedom and the First Amendment. The group Human Rights Campaign organized a rally outside the Edwards Roybal Federal Court in downtown Los Angeles, where proceedings for Lemon took place on Friday. Speaking outside the court, board member Todd Hawkins decried Lemon's arrest and prosecution. When journalists can be detained for covering protests, none of us are safe. Punish the press, ignore the dead, dare the public to look away. We will not look away. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass condemned his arrest. Let me be clear. President Trump is not de-escalating anything after the fatal shooting of U.S. citizen by federal agents. In fact, the arrest of Don Lemon and Georgia Fort demonstrate quite the opposite. He is escalating. In his own post, the White House appeared to mock Lemon. When life gives you lemon, the White House account wrote, coupled with a chain emoji and an image of lemon from inside the church. Representatives for Lemon's husband, city churches, and 3 other arrested did not immediately respond to the request for a comment. So yeah, that is that, y'all. So we're gonna be keeping this story and seeing how this all play out. I would assume once they get it in front of a judge, because of the Constitution, we would hope that it's going to get throughout for Lemon and all the other journalists and activists, because I did not see anywhere in that video where anybody was harmed, where people was kept from leaving, where property was damaged. So, yeah. Ridiculous. And y'all, I'm finna get on out of here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on all social media. As always,
have the day you voted for.